Hello YouTube, my name is Plazukas, and today's video is actually going to be on Denims TV, a Twitch streamer that covers political discourse, content creation, drama, obviously tech tone, a person that I've watched once for a period of a couple hours trying to catch up on some drama that I had missed by being away. And that experience wasn't that great. I don't believe Denims is that enlightening or provides anything very unique or specific. But today's video is actually going to be on a broader topic that I think is worth discussing, and that is GoFundMe. But specifically, GoFundMe for lawyer fees or court proceedings or personal vendettas, stuff like that, which I find the most disingenuous and actually can highlight someone's true motives in this space as a content creator. Ethan did this when he was being sued by various other people. I think it was Kavanaugh and then the freedom of speech suit that he had, Ethan Klein specifically. There's so many other content creators who do GoFundMe's for their lawyer fees and stuff like that. And I find this one of the lowest forms of human begging to exist. I would rather a homeless person beg money from me than a content creator. So this is the lowest form because let's be very clear. Denims may not make $1 million a year, but she surely makes a couple $100,000 a year, which would allow her to have good credit, which would allow her to probably have some form of retainer for a lawyer, allow her to do this basically through her own finances. And it is basically her own personal issue with Ethan. And therefore, for her to try to have a GoFundMe to raise money for that specific purpose is just absolutely the lowest form of person that you can possibly get, which would then implicate everything else she does. Now, that doesn't mean, in my opinion, because I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, that she is a bad person or that is her motives. It just gives that appearance of it. So let me just read this verbatim and then we'll get to the other side of it, okay? Um, 1 week, 1,700 donations. You know, rounding up. 46,000 later, I'm refunding the GoFundMe. If I go forward as a plaintiff, I'll be self-funded. Thank you everyone for proving Ethan wrong. His behavior is unacceptable when people do care. Proceeding with defamation suit against Ethan is a monumental. Kavanaugh, 4 years. Yeah, it's still. I don't want to fundraise to start a fight that I cannot finish. I feel like what with that in mind, if this is a journey I was on to take, I will be doing it on my own funds. I'll be keeping all of you posted if anything happens while the statute of limitation runs for the next year. I'll be elaborating on the stream. I appreciate all of your support. It means more to me. Listen, whether or not it's because she didn't raise the funds that she thought she was going to raise in that a short amount of time, she saw the public discourse that was happening as the GoFundMe was live, and potentially didn't want to deal with the backlash, or because she never meant to to basically go with the lawsuit. She just wanted to make a statement, and she was going to use people's personal finances to make that statement instead of just her platform or potentially her filing a petition for a lawsuit. And let me be very clear, actually filing for suit is relatively cheap. Okay, obviously there is some legal representation that is required, but it's like hundreds of dollars in most states to actually file the fees and the paperwork. Now, to get it all, legal jargon and stuff like that probably will require hours of work from a lawyer, which inevitably will cost a couple thousand, yeah, at the very least, and then maybe more depending on how much you want to go into it. But as far as lawsuits go, they're not that expensive initially. Obviously, they drag on, and then you're going to need specialists. You're going to need all this other stuff that's going to come into play, or judicial proceedings is just kind of like whatever at that point. So I get the hesitation to sue somebody ultimately. But this kind of antics, this kind of tactic, I find the lowest form of behavior in a person specifically. And I don't care who it is. For me personally, I know I've been accused of having a GoFundMe. I've never had a GoFundMe. Personally, I've never had a GoFundMe. I've had a Kickstarter for a project called Infinite Origin that's had multiple different iterations, whether it be a book or a movie or a game, which none were successful, and all of the goals were relatively low. For services and for products, GoFundMe's are fine. Kickstarters are fine. Crowd funded sources are fine. Although they're still like sales, they're still manipulative. They still require you to have a perceived value of that product. And that in itself is scammy, scummy, whatever the case may be. but I have like an inherent or a subjective value to electronics or to PlayStations or to video games or to phones and stuff like that that I perceive to be affordable or to be acceptable. And I know other people do too. And so therefore that's where we draw the line. But personal vendettas, personal choices to go after somebody for a lawsuit because you believe they defamed you when it's a personal beef between the other two people, and to ask your community to leverage that to potentially pay for that when potentially if you do win you're gonna get them money. Are you gonna give them back? Are you gonna give the people that helped you back the money like you would an investor, which is normally double if not more of the money that you recoup? I don't think that was part of the GoFundMe. I don't think there was like an asterisk saying, yeah, if you GoFundMe and if I win, I'll give you 3 times the amount that you put in, obviously. And I think that's even against the law to do that. So therefore, what is this? What is this culture that we live in? Ethan Klein did this when he. I don't know if it was for Kavanaugh specifically, but when he had his freedom of speech, his constitutional court that he actually eventually won, I believe he asked crowdfunded support for GoFundMe, and a lot of content creators do. And I believe this is the lowest form, the scummiest thing that you can do. I think our average views are like 3,000. Just ads alone are going to get her to a very reasonable salary to the point where she could retain a lawyer, where she would have pretty good credit. And if she believed in the case, she could basically sue Ethan by herself. But no, this speaks to other motives. This speaks to other agendas. This speaks to why content creators should not be trusted, because they're not there for you. They're there for them entirely. And that's not what a service should be. If you are only ever, if you buy a product at a store and the only interest of that business owner is to profit, then most likely that product is going to be cheap, is going to break as soon as you buy it, and the person will not have a refund policy. That's what you're equivalently getting with a content creator who has that kind of same philosophy as well. Like, yes, they're providing a service, which, I think should demand some form of payment for services rendered, but the quality of that service is dependent on the person providing it. And if someone's asking for funds like this, then I would say maybe not the best person to be watching for content going forward. And I know Tectone has a vendetta against Denims and this and that. I'm not piling on, but I am going to call out when I see something that I feel like needs to be addressed, not just for Denims, from the content creation space. If you see a content creator basically asking for a GoFundMe for a personal reason and not for a product or a service, there's your sign. My name is Please. If you like this comment, like, subscribe. I'll see you next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.